Commons has been in recess this week, and MPs are in their constituencies across the country. Let's bring this question to them. In Vancouver, James Moore, Conservative MP. In Montreal, Irwin Cotler of the Liberals, and in Halifax, Alexa McDonough of the New Democrats. Ms. McDonough, what do you make of what we've heard today, and do you think Mr. Khadr's case has really been improved?
Well, I think it's appalling the way it's been handled. At least Bill Graham had the decency to admit that the Liberals had been dead wrong when he was the Foreign Affairs Minister handling it. I think this just underscores why Omar Khadr should be brought back to Canada, recognized to be a child soldier, which is the position we took from the beginning. Mr.
Cotler, you were Minister of Justice in the Liberal government. What's your take on this?
All the information in the hands of the federal government must be disclosed to Mr. Khadr that are relevant to his defense, and I would add, and we should seek his repatriation back to Canada where he can face appropriate due process and principles of reintegration.
Mr. Moore, you're in a kind of weird position here because it was the Liberals who allowed all of this to occur, and now you're being taken to the woodshed to say, why don't you spring this guy from Cuba?
Well, it wasn't the Liberals, it was Irwin Cotler who just got on his moral high horse there and galloped right across the screen and said, we got to stop this from happening. But when he was Justice Minister, this was, of course, perfectly fine procedure and policy for the Liberal Party. Look, Omar Khadr...
Before we run out of time here, first, last week, the Mounties said no criminal charges in the Cadman case. Now the Privy Council investigation has been released this afternoon, and it says Michael Wilson did nothing wrong. It said no evidence of Ian Brody doing anything wrong. Is this the end of this discussion?
Anybody who's surprised that the Harper government cleared Harper officials of any improprieties here? I mean, nobody's surprised by that, although it is a bit amazing when you consider how adamant Harper was in Parliament that every single kind of investigative technique was going to be used to get to the bottom of this, and no such thing has happened.
Well, I think that a government, the only government that has first a child soldier and second a Western national that has not sought to bring him back home. This is on the doorstep of the present Conservative government and no one else.
Final word to James.
Yeah, well, nice try washing your hands of it, Irwin, but you were the Minister of Justice and you did nothing. If you believe what your position was wrong, you should say so now. To Alexa and the NDP and to the Liberals, on both the Cadman affair and now on this issue about the NAFTA Gate issue, both of these so-called scandals were entirely fiction. They've blown up in your faces. And Alexa and the NDP, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves. You stood up in the House of Commons, went on national television, you called for Ian Brody to be fired, you called for people to lose their jobs without any evidence, without any backing whatsoever. You tried to destroy people's reputations on this without any evidence whatsoever, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Well, it's amazing because your boss, Harper, said this is a very serious matter that needs to be thoroughly examined.
And it has been. And it has been, Alexa, and there's no evidence whatsoever, so why don't you just accept the facts for what they are, which is the smear campaign that you leveled against Ian Brody and Ambassador Wilson was entirely inappropriate.
But Harper Insider cleared the Harper Insider here. Come on.
Well, come on, Alexa. You guys are better. You're better than this election. You guys ought to be better, and you guys owe an apology to Michael Wilson. You owe an apology to Ian Brody for your smears.
That's got to be the final word, not on this topic, but for this panel for now. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Appreciate this lively and frank discussion. I kind of like it when people say what they really think.